is very important to us because it contains many forms of life and it's what keeps us alive. Without it, we wouldn't have trees to give us oxygen for us to breathe or any food and water for our bodies. We wouldn't be able to survive. We need to take care of our planet and use our resources in a sustainable way, because if we don't, then we can lose many of our resources that we use for our needs. And in this video, I show many objects that I use in my life to describe how destructive they are to our planet, which is my ecological footprint. Then I'm going to talk about how to fix the way I use my objects, which will be my handprint. First, here's a picture of my shower. And over the past week, I've recorded that I took 4 showers, each taking about 45 minutes long. Taking a shower is something that humans use every day or every other day. People who take really long showers, like me, affect the planet more than people who take short showers. This is because of the amount of water we use. Water is one of the main resources on our planet, and we don't want to waste it and cause depletion. It takes a lot of energy to pump and heat the water so that we have a nice hot shower. While I brush my teeth, I let the water run in my sink, which affects our environment because it also uses energy to heat the water. According to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, a faucet running for 5 minutes uses about as much energy as keeping a 60-watt light bulb on for 14 hours. So if we use more and more energy for our shower and our sink, then that means that more fossil fuels will be burned, which is called combustion. There are 2 types of combustion, which are complete combustion and incomplete combustion. Incomplete combustion, the fuel is burned with lots of oxygen, and the products are CO2 and water. In incomplete combustion, there isn't enough oxygen, so all of our carbon is converted into carbon dioxide and sometimes into carbon monoxide, which can be very, very deadly. Now, the burning of fossil fuels causes an accumulation of carbon dioxide to be released into the atmosphere, which then causes the greenhouse effect. This is when there's an increase in the Earth's normal temperature for the gases like carbon dioxide, methane, and water vapor that trap heat in the atmosphere. This effect can lead to a bigger problem, which is global warming or climate change. Now, the difference between them is that global warming is a study in which that the Earth is gradually warming as a result of an enhanced greenhouse gas effect. And a climate change is a shift in the long-term average weather conditions for areas around the Earth. Now, this is very destructive to our environment. If I shorten my shower and if I don't let the water run in my sink, then there will be a reduced amount of water that has to be heated. That way, fossil fuels wouldn't be burned as much. Next, here's a picture of my water bottle. I have been using water bottles for my whole life for many sports, and I'm not the only one that uses them. Many people around the world use water bottles, but they can be very bad for the environment. Water bottles are polymers, which are long molecules consisting of many monomers, or small units, that are connected by covalent bonds. In order for these monomers to join together, a chemical reaction must occur, and this reaction is called polymerization. Polymers are also mainly known as plastic, or they can be used as polymeric fibers. And here's a picture of my clothes, which are made from polymeric fibers that are spun into threads. Now, plastic materials can affect the environment if they aren't recycled. According to a report called Surge in Bottled Water Popularity Threatens the Environment, only 16% of polyethylene water bottles sold in California are being recycled. At that rate, the amount of water bottles that are thrown out, and continue for 10 years, there would be enough to create a 2-lane, 6-inch deep highway stretching the entire coast of California. And as you can see, that's a lot of water bottles. Instead of being recycled, these water bottles are dumped in landfills and take a while to decompose. If these water bottles are burned from the process of combustion, toxic smoke and fumes are released into the atmosphere, creating greenhouse gases that attack the ozone layer. Now, to fix this problem, you can recycle so that these water bottles can be reused and make material, such as sweaters, carpets, and t-shirts. A more beneficial way to make this an ecological handprint or positive effect on the earth is that you can use stainless steel bottles or canteens that you can reuse over and over again. And in this picture, this is a picture of a canteen that I have that I've been using now. And that way you wouldn't have to worry about wasting your water bottles when you can just keep the same one. Next, here's a picture of my television, my computer, and my lamp. Now these objects that are used in my house wouldn't work if it weren't for electricity. People use electricity every day, but have they ever wondered how it's generated? In order for electricity to be generated, fossil fuels have to be burned in the process of combustion. These fossil fuels are coal and oil. Now coal started out from fossil remains of giant ferns and trees that lived for millions of years ago. And oil was generated from microscopic and other ocean organisms millions of years ago. Now, when coal and oil are burned in a boiler, the water is heated, which produces steam. Next, the steam turns the turbine, which causes the generator to turn. The generator converts mechanical energy into electrical energy, and then the electrons start to flow by the current, which is the flow of electrons through a conductor. The electricity is now inside homes and can power many objects. In my home, I use the television, the computer, and many lights. If we leave these objects turned on all of the time, then we would be using too much electricity, which can harm the environment. This can be bad for the environment because we can release a lot of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. In order to reduce the amount of carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere, you can start making positive choices for your home, which can become your handprint. In my home, I watch TV 4 or 5 hours a day, use the computer about a half hour a day, and leave a lot of lights on, and I leave chargers for my iPod plugged in. I can change my ways by reducing the amount of TV I watch. I can reduce it to about 2 hours a day. I can reduce my usage of the computer to 20 minutes, and I can leave only a couple lights on, and I can take all of the chargers out of the wall when I'm not using them. I can also use compact fluorescent light bulbs, like in this picture. This is a picture of the light bulb in my garage. And whenever I'm not using the TV or the computer, I can just easily turn it off and save a lot of electricity. Now, here's a picture of the car that I use in my family. Transportation is something that humans use every day to get from place to place. Some people use bikes or buses, but my family uses cars. On a typical day, my family uses 3 cars and we drive a lot, about half an hour to an hour in a car. Spending a lot of time driving in a car can be harmful to the environment because of what it can cause. Cars and many other vehicles release nitrogen oxide, and many factories release sulfur dioxide into our atmosphere, which combine with water to form sulfuric acid and nitric acid, which then create acid rain. And acid precipitation also forms because of the emission from cars. And acid precipitation is rain, snow, sleet, and fog that contain acids that form in the atmosphere. Acid rain has a pH level of 5 on the pH scale. A pH scale is the measurement that tells you how acidic or basic a substance is. Acids have a pH between 0 and 7 and contain hydrogen ions, while bases have a pH of 7 to 14 and contain hydroxide ions. Now, acid rain causes a lot of destruction on our Earth. For example, the acid rain can damage objects made of marble or limestone. When there are buildings created from that material, the acid rain can easily destroy them. Also, acid rain can affect the soil, which then affects the roots of plants. When the animals eat the plants, they could easily get affected and suffer. If the animals drink water from a polluted source, then they can also be affected. In this process, we could lose many plants and animals, which could harm the cycles, causing damage to the earth. Transportation just doesn't cause acid rain. It also causes photochemical smog, which is air pollution produced by car emissions, hydrocarbons, and sunlight, which create hazardous chemicals in the atmosphere. Now, I can reduce the amount of car emission released into the atmosphere by traveling less. I can also carpool with someone, use public transportation, or even walk. That way, we wouldn't be releasing a lot of chemicals in the atmosphere, which would become now an ecological handprint to our environment. or also known as a positive effect. As you can see, I need to change my habits because I'm more of a risk to the planet than a benefit. The only benefits that I really have are that I recycle and I repair things rather than throw them out. Like this shirt. Instead of throwing it out, I'm going to fix it so I can reuse it. Now, I hope that this presentation taught you a lot about the environment and how objects in our homes can affect the planet. And if you have bad habits that affect the planet that are similar to mine, I hope you can change them. There are many ways to increase your ecological handprint. You can recycle, or you can join the committees that help the planet, and there's much more. Now, my family and I are going to change our habits to keep the earth healthy. Now, if you do the same, it will really help the planet. Please take care of our planet. Thank you.